Hello and welcome to The Weekly. I am one of your hosts. My name is DeShawn Bird.
My name is Natasha.
And today we have a special guest in the building, elected state representative Willis E Blackshear Jr.
The People's Champ.
The People's Champ. How you doing today, Willis?
Champ. I'm doing pretty good. Trying to stay warm.
Okay. So first I just want to let you tell the people about your state representative job, and if you can give us, details and the roles of what your position actually is.
Okay. Well, I'll go a little bit into my background as well.
Okay.
So I was born and raised in Dayton. Went to school here locally. I went to Trotwood Madison High School. Woohoo, go Rams.
Shout out Trotwood.
Shout out Trotwood.
But go ahead.
You went to Stivers? No, it's okay. It's okay. I ain't gonna hold that against you.
What's up with
Stivers is in my district. So, and then I went to college at Wright State. I worked full time, so I got my start at the Montgomery County Board of Elections. At the Board of Elections, I was a polling location recruiter, poll worker trainer. I checked petitions. I tested voting machines.
So you was Abrams before Abrams, then, right?
on the inside.
Good night. Absolutely good night. That was a good one, though. He was.
Yes, I was on the inside just doing voter education. Then after that, I transitioned to the Montgomery County Auditor's Office. And in that role, my job was basically just to bring our office to the community. I did a lot of work when the tornado hit. I set up outposts in different libraries around the county to help people take advantage of some of our tax programs. And then I decided to run for state rep. So I'm excited for this role. I'm actually one of the youngest lawmakers in Ohio. And with that role, I believe that I can help push policies that can help our community. One of the reasons why I wanted to run was because I seen issues that were plaguing our communities,
Right.
and I wanted to work towards making our communities better. And I can do that in a lot of different ways. I know we're going to get into that, but policy affects all of our lives, whether we want to admit it or not. And I believe that with the right lawmakers, we can make a difference.
So the first question I would want to ask is, what would be your responsibility as the state rep for our district?
So I'm a man that wears many hats, but one will be creating legislation that can help Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
And also two, voting on legislation or being a co-sponsor on legislation that I feel can help our communities. Two, I can help bring money back into the district and also in other areas around the state. And then three, something that I'm enjoying a lot right now is constituent services. Right now, a lot of people are having issues with unemployment, housing, got our services.
So going crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, panoramic.
Yeah. so I've been able to help a lot of people with those issues. That's low hanging fruit. A lot of leaders ignore that type of work because it's not all glitz and glamour. I don't get press conferences for helping somebody with their unemployment, but these are important issues because this is dealing with people's lives. And a lot of people that I have talked to and encountered with, they're just happy that somebody is there working on their behalf, somebody who can be a voice for them. So,
a lot of people say that politicians really don't help the community. They don't see where you can affect the community. So one thing that I wanted to come in and ask is, what is something that you're holding yourself accountable for, tangible things that you can do for the city of Dayton, a couple things that you want to change specifically? If you can't give out those plans, I understand, but I just want to...
I think, there's a lot of things that I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think in my situation, I'm in a state, I'm on a state level. I'm not federal. Federal Democrats, they're the majority.
Yeah.
But on the state level, we're the minority.
Right.
So, some things that I tell people is, I have to work across the aisle to get things done. But, the benefit of that is that I'm able to find common ground with some of my colleagues on the other side. I do believe that we all want to make Ohio a better place where people can prosper, raise a family and retire. I believe that. Now, will we agree on every issue? No, I understand that. But, you know, some of the things that I want to do is bring equity back into our communities. You know, one of the things I'm working on right now is school funding. Mm-hmm. In the 90s, with the DeRoff decision, school funding was ruled unconstitutional. And, you know, some of the schools that I've been to, I mean, some of the schools that you all probably been to, you know, funding wasn't there. We didn't have certain programs like other schools did because of our funding model.
So in one of our last segments on our TV shows, we brought up the state of Ohio was sued by 3 districts in the state. It was Toledo, Dayton, and Cincinnati. And they each won, I think, up to like $10 or $12 million each. Overall, it was like $27 million or something like that. 25. Yeah. How do you stop that? I guess what's the right word that I'm looking for? Underfunding of public schools, especially where those 3 cities is mostly minorities at those public schools. So yeah. So how does that? Can you help stop that?
Well, I mean, it's just with the policy. House Bill 1 is going to address, you know, school funding issue that is going to address that issue with school funding. You know, it passed the House last GA, but it just wasn't enough time for the Senate to get it through. So I think right now the model is that, you know, we rely too heavily on property taxes. Well, obviously, when you look at some communities, you know, there are a lot of abandoned and dilapidated properties and, you know, Section 8, you name it. So we're trying to address that issue to where it's not heavily dependent on the property taxes, but on other things. So that will be on House Bill 1. It passed last GA, and I'm pretty confident that it will pass this GA without a problem. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's policy. It's policy. You know, we have to address, you know, some of the disparities that are in our communities, and, you know, school funding is one of them.
You know, I'm giving. Mary had a little lamb here. You know, he's giving Obama. This is 90s nostalgia over here. So while we're here. I think one of my questions was, you just announced your assignments, I think, for the 13th General Assembly, and is
134th.
134th General Assembly. All right, stay in school, kids. So it was infrastructure and rural development, criminal justice, and what was your last?
Commerce and labor.
Commerce and labor.
Oh, you did good.
I do my research. Okay, listen, I'm true to this. So what out of those 3? Their assignments, so those were assigned to you, correct? You didn't necessarily pick them?
Well, I requested.
Okay.
I requested them.
Okay, so can you go into detail just a little bit about what your role will be in each of those assignments? Like, what will you do specifically?
So any legislation, so this is how it works. Any legislation that actually comes to the floor, it has to go through committee first. Mm-hmm. So, you know, with criminal justice, commerce and labor, infrastructure and rural development, some of those issues, legislation that, you know, people may have, we're going to have them in our committee, we're going to vote them out, and that's when they go to the floor. They go to the House floor, let's say they pass the floor, they go up to the Senate, the Senate has to vote on it, and then boom, it ends up on the governor's desk. So I'm very pleased and happy with my committee assignments, especially criminal justice. That is one of the things that when I was on the campaign trail, I talked a lot about criminal justice. I believe we need bail reform here in Ohio. There is no reason why nonviolent, no flight risk individuals in our county jail should be sitting in jail for a year or 2 just because they can't, you know, afford to pay $1,000, $1,500 bail, you know. And 2, you know, you got to think about COVID now. Our prisons are overcrowded.
It's exacerbated.
Yeah, yes. Actually, one of my neighbors that I used to live by when I lived on Denison, he actually passed. He was a correction officer. He caught COVID. Governor DeWine talked about him, and, you know, it was just, you know, a sad situation. There's no reason why some of these people should be in jail for this long, and it's non-violent offenses. Also, too, with criminal justice, I want to work on, you know, second chance acts. You know, we tell people, you know, you did your time, now you're supposed to come out here and act like a first-class citizen, but we treat you like a second-class citizen. You know, it's hard to get loans. It's hard to, housing. jobs. People, the system has made it hard for those people to try to get ahead. They did their time, they paid their dues or whatever. And, we make it hard for them to better their lives. And then now we wonder why, they keep on going back into the system because they don't have no other options, no choices out here.
My mom does a lot of work with citizens returning back into the community. She does an event every year, reentry, recovery, and reform program, where she just try to help citizens return. It's a word that they're trying to use now, and I just can't remember it right now. But that field is hard, especially in Dayton, where it's only really like social service jobs and factory jobs that you can get into. So most of the time, like I got family members that haven't even gotten not charged, but convicted of a crime, but they have the actual charge on their record where they can't, or a job won't hire them just because of that. Not because they were guilty of the crime, but just because they were accused of the crime. So that's something that is big for me as well.
And I want to add something too. Other things that I want to work on is education and economic and workforce development. You talked about jobs. I believe that we have the talent here. We have the talent here in the city, but there needs to be jobs for that talent to stay. And that's why young people like yourself. Thank you for staying in the city when I know there were probably other options in different states and stuff, but you decided to stay here and build your dynasty in this city, But for others, they say it's only like factory jobs, social service jobs, or, fast food jobs. It's like, well, what we need to do is we need to bring the jobs here. So one of the things that I did a lot of work with the census, because a lot of these businesses, they look at the population. Is it worth me, having a business here or whatever? But then too, we need to also make it easier for people to, start their own business. And that goes into the bank loans. I want to address the discriminatory practices of some of these banks. They still exist. They make it harder for certain people to get loans. So we need to address that issue because, we have a lot of small businesses. We have people who potentially want to start a business. And we need to make sure that we are giving them the resources and tools to be able to, live the American dream, essentially.
Now, with your work with doing criminal justice and criminal reform, you're also the co-chair of the, is it Use of Force?
Use of Force.
Use of Force.
You did your research.
Hey. So I know we talk a lot about body cameras, and I know that Nan Whaley gathered a committee last summer to speak to different issues about police reform in the city. And one of the committee's asked was body cameras, which I heard we're now purchasing.
And that was my committee. I'm a co-chair of that committee. So
within that, how is that specific work to date? Why is that work so important to you? Considering that Dayton's been through the tornado, the KKK rallies, we have discriminatory practices with the police as well.
Somebody even saw that speedway yesterday.
I mean, it's rampant. We can even talk about how recidivism is super hard because there are lots of people who, I think your chances when you first go to jail as a minority are increased by 50%. Like they'll say you'll be back. So what of being a co-chair on that committee, why is that so important to you, specifically for the people of Dayton?
I think, particularly with the body cameras, accountability. I mean, we all know that, if it was us against the police in the courtroom, who would the judge side with? Who would the jury side with? We advocated and pushed for body cameras because, one, I think all police forces should have body cameras, but then two, it's just accountability. I mean, it's just that simple, accountability. And body cameras are a third eye witness. It's not just my word against his word. This is what the camera shows. We're not talking about just the police cruiser's camera because, you're only going to see straight ahead. Yeah, you're only going to see in front of you. You're not going to see on the side of you, behind you or anything. Well, actually, you probably can't see behind you. Yeah,
but we need all that.
Yeah, we need all that. We need all that. So there have been a lot of cases here in Dayton, and obviously we've seen who got the short end of the stick. And a lot of people are, tired. And when you look at, the environment that we live in, with social media, cops killing people every day, and we just want the truth. Also, too, some of the things that we're working on within my working group is, we're going through the policy, use of force policy, and what we're doing is that we're looking at the policy, and let's just say if an officer feels like, because it's in the manual, it's in the handbook, like, well, I'm able to do this because it's in the manual. Like, well, no, let's change the wording on that because, you can really hurt somebody.
That's what I was about to ask, because a lot of what I've seen lately, especially in like California and stuff, body cams really haven't changed. I wouldn't say it has changed, but not to the point that everybody thought it was, because the law still says if he's in fear. So who decides? The body cam doesn't decide if the officer is in fear or not. The officer decides that. So
convoluted wording
into the wording. So I guess I was just gonna ask, how do you plan on changing the wording of some of these laws as well with the body cam? Because you said you are doing criminal justice and stuff as well. Does that go into your projects later on down the line?
At least on a state.
Yeah. I mean, it is something that we will look at. But like I said, I have to, work with my colleagues on the other side of the aisle. So, that work will be difficult, but I will be actively working to make that change. I do want to add too, we have other working groups. We have, training, recruitment, and one of the things we're trying to do is we're trying to get some of these young men and women to, consider a career in law enforcement. And I will say this, because this question came up, we shouldn't have police officers, patrolling our community if they're scared. That's one of the major issues. If you're scared of the area you're patrolling, you need to get a job somewhere else. Because we don't need you in our community watching over our, brothers, sisters, cousins, mom, dads,
I really feel like you shouldn't police an area that you don't stay in. I've been pulled over a lot of the times, and I just feel like if you know somebody and you know what they're doing, if you stay in that community, a lot of these problems just won't happen.
I don't think Centerville should be policing West State.
Yeah. Exactly, because that's where most of the officers live.
That was something the Supreme Court ruled. I mean, that's why it's able to happen. So I mean, that's on a judicial.
You keep saying the difference between federal. So the state representative role, like overall, is it still like Congress, but it's just like the state level?
On the state level,
so,
yes.
So I turned to I can't remember what the channel was called here, but sometimes I done seen the state Congress meetings and all of that. So
Ohio channel?
Everything is the same, just minimized stately.
Yeah, so we just focus on like the budget in Ohio, laws for Ohio, and like congressional, federal, they focus on the country. In a sense, all of those policies affect everybody in the country. So, we actually have a budget that Governor DeWine just released. So that's something I'm going to have to deal with. I don't deal with some of the things that Biden is doing. Now, I will have to go back to my constituents, and talk about some of those things, but I have no control. Now, I can lobby and call by, my U.S. senator or my congressman, but, to lobby, I think we should be doing this and we should be doing that, but I have no vote for some of those issues, so.
Two things real quick. What made you get into politics? And I'll ask Ellen after this. What made you get into politics?
Man, that is a great question. So, I'm glad you asked that question. So, I would say I was involved with politics before I was even born. So, funny story, and I actually got it from my dad. So, when my mom was pregnant with me, I was a little bit overdue. And the doctor said, you got to get moving. You got to be walking around, get more active. You can't just be laying around. Well, at the time, my dad was running for priority board. So he was out campaigning, knocking on doors and stuff. So my mom went out there with him, and boom, I'm here. I was born November 1st, so I consider myself like an election baby. Because, usually the election is, on the 3rd or, the week after, or whatever. So I consider myself an election baby. But, I seen my dad rise to the ranks. He worked at the county treasurer's office, and then he got appointed to the county recorder position in 2005, and then he ran in 2008, 2012, and 2016, but he ended up passing in 2018. So, I have that fire in me to obviously, you know, carry the torch, and, you know, just to be the type of leader that he was. But, you know, how I really got involved, like, yes, he was a factor, but, you know, when I started working at the Board of Elections, I got to see the importance of voting. You know, a lot of times people say, my vote doesn't count, you know, they're going to choose who they want to choose anyway, you know, but that's not the case. I've seen elections be decided by less than 10 votes. By less than 10 votes. Now, we have to make sure that we are voting on a local level, because some of these U.S. senators, you know, governors, you know, statewide office holders, you know, they started on a local level. You know, they may have started at school board or, you know, city council, or even, you know, the state house, you know. But because people don't feel like it's not important to vote, but only for the president, you know, that's where the issue is. And I'll be honest with you, I can't call Biden and say, hey, I need you to fix these houses on my block, or, you know, I need you to fix my school system. I will be talking to somebody else. I won't be talking to him directly. But I guarantee you, my mayor, my school board members, even my superintendent, but that's not elected officials, a superintendent, but the superintendent is appointed by school board. My state reps, you know, I can call them. Matter of fact, I can shoot them a DM on Facebook or whatever. And I know they may not respond, but they'll see it. So, you know, just my passion, just to help people, and you know, we all get one life, and you know, I just want to leave a mark, you know, touch somebody's life, you know, and I feel like that's what my father did, and some of my other mentors, I feel like that's what they did. So, you know, just trying to play my role, play my position.
The other thing I wanted to ask you was, outside of politics, like, what do you have going on? What is your daily activities? Like, what are some things that...
questions.
That's
okay. No, I'm sorry.
You know, you graduated from Wright State University. Like you said, you went to Trotwood. But, you know, what are some things that interest you outside of politics?
Well, you know, I love sports, but I'm a guy of small stature, so, but I'll still get somebody to work on the basketball court.
Hello.
I'll still get somebody to work on the basketball court, but, you know, I just like sports, I like reading.
Reading good books lately?
James Baldwin, all the James Baldwin. No, I'm going to give you a good book. Where Do We Go From Here? Martin Luther King book. I like that book. And then also, I'm going to give a plug to Pastor Steve Saucer. He has this new book out, A Fatherless Son.
Oh, we've seen.
Yeah. So check that out. But, you know, I just like to be active. You know, I like to travel. I don't really travel as much now because of my role. You know, I feel like I need to just, you know, be here, you know, be available for everybody. The sports, I love sports, and you know, today is the Super Bowl, and I'm saying this right now, Kansas City is gonna pull it off. It's the reason.
I'm gonna let that agree with you.
I don't feel like you can bet against Tom Brady, and I don't feel like you can bet against Patrick Mahomes. So we you know, it's the young versus the new today. At the beginning of the year, I thought Patty Mahomes would repeat. I still kind of feel that in my spirit, but yeah, you can't bet against Tom Brady.
Well, can we agree on this then? If Tom Brady wins tonight, he's gonna retire.
No.
Really?
No.
Okay.
Have you heard anything that Tom Brady, he wants to play until he's 50. Tom Brady wants to be the greatest person ever. Like, we're not just talking about just like football. Like, he wants to be better than Michael Jordan. Like, he wants people to say Brady, not Jordan. So I don't see Tom Brady retiring.
This is a football player, so I can't argue with that.
Yeah.
But I'm still going to pick Kansas City.
My one question I would like to ask people when they come in here is, what is some goals, or what is something that you specifically want to target for our community? And this doesn't have to do anything with your office or your position, but like you as a person. Like, what is something that is near and dear to your heart that you want to help our community of people throughout your life? The West Side, our community.
Well, you know, on the policy tip, you know, equity, just making sure we bring equity back. But you know, Also, too, something else that I would like to do, and something I do on the side, I'm a mentor with the Montgomery County Male Leadership Academy. So, you know, just bringing up the next generation, you know, getting them involved in, you know, government, you know, civic education, you know, you don't have to just be a politician, you know, or elected official. Like, there are other things that you can do. I was a behind the scenes guy, but you know, I guess people see my talent and, you know, I got pushed to the front. And it happens, but, you know, there are other things that people can do. I mean, you can be a lobbyist, I mean, you can be an attorney, you know, you can just be a community advocate, community activist, you know, you could be one of those people who, you know, I may not want to be involved in politics, but I'll show up to my city council meetings, I'll show up to the school board meetings and express my concerns and, you know, some of the things that I just don't like, or even some of the things I do like and I want to see keep on happening. But, you know, just all about just informing people about the, you know, election process and, you know, you have people who work for you. You know, I work for the people.
That was my next question.
Yeah, I work for the people.
Leading into
I mean, I wouldn't be here without the people.
See,
I mean,
that's the next question.
Great
I
minds think
noticed
alike.
that was your slogan, that you work for the people, and you said specifically on social media because he's active. Okay, he's out here buying sweet potato cheesecake pies, going to book signings. He's out here in the community. So I
show up.
He shows up all the time. So that was my next question. Since you said I work for the people specifically, so let me know your concerns. How are you like relatable to people like in the hood who don't necessarily know about like government or politics or activism? Even Yellow Payne did My Vote Doesn't Count, and he broke down all the different sections of government. So how are you just relatable? Like I'm a male just like you. Like I fear getting shot by the police just like you. How do you let people know who are not really like active or know about government? How do you relate to them?
I mean, you just show up. I'm a very personable person. Don't let the suit fool you. I like to have fun.
He has on sneakers. It's okay. It's a party on the board. It's okay.
Well, good thing the camera won't see the sneakers.
Yeah, don't worry.
Nah, but it's just showing up. You know, we all have a lot of things in common. We like sports, you know, fashion, you know, it may be a TV show that we may like, you know, and my thing is when I talk to people, you know, it doesn't always have to be politics, you know. You know, sometimes people are always too serious. That could make you hard to approach when you're too serious. Like, I may not want to talk to that person because I may have a dumb question or something. But no, you know, just showing up. I show up everywhere. I have no problem going anywhere. I mean, obviously, if you look at my track record, it shows that I go anywhere and everywhere. So it's just showing up.
Can I ask your experience from going from childhood to Wright State? And I have no idea why, but on Wikipedia, your profile says that you went to Fisk University.
So that's my dad. That's the school my dad went to. Yeah. So they haven't updated it yet. Okay. And I don't even know who controls that. I don't know who controls Wikipedia.
I'm so mad he said Wikipedia.
Because you know, you search people's names.
You gotta research.
Said Fisk, and I'm like, I don't remember.
So they got my dad's information on mine, but no, I didn't go to Fisk. I went to Wright State.
How was your experience at Wright State though?
It was pretty good. I mean, I didn't stay on campus, so I didn't have the experience like other college students. But I work full time, so I mean, I mainly went to school at night. So I actually went to school with, you know, a lot of older adults who, you know, didn't go to college straight out of high school. They got families and stuff.
Closer perspective.
Yeah. So, you know, they're just trying to better their lives. You know, they may not like the career field that they're in, so they're like, I'm gonna just go back to school. Or I had some classmates who were just bored. I have nothing to do, so I'm gonna just go to school and, you know, take a few classes or just get another degree. But my experience was pretty good. I mean, I did college the way I did because, you know, I was able to get a different perspective from different people and, you know, people older than me. Mm-hmm. So, and, you know, when you go to college at night, you know, you have adjunct professors. So those are professors who, you know, they got a day job and they come in, you know, to teach you just to get a little bit of extra money. So, you know, just getting another perspective on their lives as well.
So you said you been watching or you watch TV. What are some TV shows you've been checking out lately?
Or Netflix documentaries, you know?
Oh my goodness, I could talk about Netflix all day, but I will say Power. And I'm a little upset that we're waiting for the new season of Power.
Y'all are so funny.
I love me some Power.
Well, guess what character they call me?
Are you Cole?
No,
Ghost?
are
You
you?
can't be Ghost.
No.
Who they call you?
He's got to be the
Councilman Tate.
That's all I want to say.
I don't think I'm as ruthless as
Yeah, I was about to say.
I'm not as ruthless as
He's
him.
a lot nicer.
I'm a lot nicer.
I
Well,
promise.
I think it's better than people calling me Jimmy from Barbershop. So I'm good with Councilman Tate. Well, soon to be Governor Tate.
I'll give you
I don't think I'm as ruthless as
Yeah,
him.
I was about to say.
I'm not as ruthless as
He's
him.
a lot nicer.
I'm a lot
promise.
nicer. Well,
I promise.
I think it's better than people calling me Jimmy from Barbershop. So I'm good with Councilman Tate. Well, soon to be Governor Tate.
I'll give you your top 5 movies there of
Top
all
5
time.
of all time. So I like, this is in no particular order. The People Under the Stairs. Interesting. Yeah. People Under the Stairs. I like Forrest Gump. I'm gonna just include all the Tupac movies, Poetic Justice, Juice. Just box that in. Just box that in.
That's
That's
three.
I like 90s films. I like The Godfathers. I like all of The Godfathers, but I will say my favorite is the third one. A lot of people don't like that one, but I like that one because Michael Corleone reflects on his life, all of the regret and stuff like that, and it takes a deep individual to realize, yeah. I mean, he was trying to get forgiven for his sins.
It's okay.
I like action films. Oh my goodness, so many to name. I will say I like Friday. Oh, let me also box in all the Chris Tucker movies. I like all the Chris Tucker movies.
Somebody gave me the question of, because they said Mike Epps was funnier than Chris Tucker in movies. And they gave me All About the Benjamins.
In movies?
And the one with Charlie Sheen, Money Talks. So they gave me All About the Benjamins, Money Talks. That's the picture that's going around right now. Which one is better to you, All About the Benjamins or Money Talks?
I think the issue is that people have to realize that Chris Tucker, changed his career in terms of the films that he was actually being in. He found Christ. So some of his films were, funny, but in a sense more serious than they were in the 90s. But I will say this: Chris Tucker is one of my favorite, comedians, actors. But I will say Mike Epps is I feel like he's one of the funniest stage, comedians. So I think he edges Chris Tucker on that end on stage. But movies, I'm gonna go with Chris Tucker.
Anything Chris Tucker. So you got Money Talks.
Yeah. And Denzel. Can't forget about Denzel. So American Gangster.
Yeah.
Can't
Can't forget about Denzel. He never misses.
You said you were very involved in the dating community. Where are some good spots that you like to eat right now?
Well, I went to the chicken spot yesterday.
We saw that post, okay?
Fire.
He said the best in the state.
best in the
Do you
state.
hear that?
The
The
best
Medusa.
spot is
The
fire.
best.
The best in the
It's fire.
state.
I still got some points I gotta use. I'll be there in a minute.
Okay.
I go to Third Perk. I love to get me the smoothie, mango smoothie. I love to go. This ain't really healthy, but Sharks, and I think I like Sharks better than JJ's. Some may disagree.
Fresh way.
Fresh way.
Fresh way.
Life has a funny way of bringing things full circle. So I don't know what will be next for me.
That's a great answer. Well, we appreciate you for coming through. We appreciate you for coming through. Looking forward to all the things that you're gonna do in that state house, man. I've been knowing you for a while now, and it's just great. Our group of friends, the group of people that we are connected with, everybody is doing a lot of different things right now. So, we all gonna put it together. But once again, man, congratulations on that win. And, appreciate you for coming through.
I appreciate you guys for having me. I look forward to coming back. This was a great discussion. A lot of people who previously didn't know me, hopefully you get to know a little bit about me, essentially, and I look forward to being back.
All right. Thanks for having me, and thanks for coming to the weekly. We'll see you guys very weekly.
Make sure to edit that out.
do it again.
Editor. He's a better editor.
I hear it. So
I couldn't help myself.
I actually like that because it was authentic.
Thanks for tuning in to the weekly, and we'll see you guys next week. Have a great day.